Hello there, yes, it is Wednesday, it is damp, we will see how the day progresses. This weird thing's been bubbling around my head and it finally emerged yesterday, into what we might call a thought, and it was this basically, that last weekend, for a brief period of time, the Gaza Egyptian border, the Rafah crossing, was opened, and a number of British nationals or people with British citizenship were allowed out. And yet, the British media have not managed to get an interview with a single one of these individuals. There was some limited coverage in the press about these people coming out, but in essence, nobody seems to be wanting to speak to any of these people. It could be that these people don't want to speak to the British press or in any shape or form, and perhaps that might be the reason, but it would be a bit of a media scoop, one have thought, that you'd actually talk to somebody who was there on the ground, who was a British citizen as a concerned individual or otherwise, and yet there's this deafening silence. And there isn't the same sort of silence in terms of, if you like, the other side of the hill. In certainly a lot earlier on, we heard a lot about British nationals who are also members of the IDF. And for me, this raises a very odd question, because our present government have been very keen on the notion of individuals who are militarily trained overseas and with allegiances to another country, one might say, who might potentially come here as British citizens, utilising a dual citizenship or otherwise. And, sometimes these people indeed have their citizenship revoked. But after this very nasty, bloody conflict at least peters out, because let's face it, that's all it's going to do, I'm wondering about the legal status of these individuals. If Israel is found to have committed war crimes, do we just simply allow these individuals back into the UK with no questions asked? Because that certainly isn't what the British government has been doing in and around people associated with, for example, ISIS and others. Now, I don't mean this in any sort of particular having a go at any particular group of people, but it's interesting that nobody is raising any of these questions in the British media, that there is this kind of just simply a blanket silence around a lot of these issues. And I think sometimes some of these things just need to be aired. It's just sort of so disappointing that effectively the only thing we get is a sort of standardised line, especially on things like GB News, with quite a racist commentary, because certain people in Scotland aren't quite as light in skin tone as Nigel Farage and other people would want them to be. Anyway, we will see about that. I'm just intrigued as to why nobody in the British media seems to be flagging this one up. I don't know. Answers on a postcard, people. What do you think? I don't know. Do have a dry day if you can.